Hello and welcome to my redesign project on Anne Frank and the Hitler regime. So I took my PowerPoint and then I just added it here into the Google Slides so that it's easier to screencastify. So with the redesign project, what I liked to do was change from using just close reads in our books to adding more technology and more hands-on projects with them. The ISTE standards that we are looking at is one, them being an empowered learner, specifically 1C, with students use technology to seek feedback that informs and improves their practice and to demonstrate their learning in a variety of ways. Them becoming a digital citizen. 2A, managing their digital identity and reputation and aware of the permanence of their actions in the digital world. Becoming a knowledge constructor by planning and employing effective research strategies to locate information and other resources for their intellectual pursuits, um, as well as students building knowledge by actively exploring real world issues and problems, developing ideas and theories, pursuing answers and solutions, and then finally becoming that innovative designer of knowing and using a deliberate design process for generating ideas, testing theories, creating innovative artifacts, or solving authentic problems. All right. The model that I really loved to use was the ADDIE model. I feel like it just broke it down perfectly and was easier for me to implement with my students with high understanding. Okay, so preparing them to become digital citizens in my technology course over the summer, me and a group of wow, a group of adults, we all decided to become digital citizens and we had to create a PowerPoint. So I used that same PowerPoint for my students for them to become active and responsible digital citizens. Then, as we all saw in the constructivism slide, we used a old crust curricular design. That is the design I used to use, one when I student taught in fifth grade, and then I kept building upon it for my classroom for my eighth graders and now my seventh graders, where it just used the cross curricular design to connect math, reading, social studies, and science. So in order to change or redesign this project, we had them to analyze. I had them use old methods such as our close read, using BrainPop, and our clickers that I've created some questions for, which is a phone clicker, which is really cool because it allows them to use their phone in school, and they're really ecstatic about it. So I was using old methods with new technologies to have them analyze events leading up to the war, as well as how the disease tuberculosis that ultimately killed Anne Frank is still an issue in the world. Um, I recreated the slides instead of it just being a slideshow and they had to take Cornell notes. I used Pear Deck so that they're able to um, actively engage and say yay or nay if they understood the project. I then went into the engage phase of using Myon, which is a technology source, a software that we have at school, where the book reads to them. So they were able to choose from these 7 books to get some more background knowledge and give me a report on what they learned within these stories. And it's really nice because, as being the English teacher, I have many diverse learners. So sometimes the content at hand can be too advanced for them to read, especially if we're teaching on target, on content, on grade level. We then went into a whole group collaboration where I put this in Microsoft Classrooms, Microsoft Teams, it's actually called, where they use Lino to create a collage of the events that have happened in Anne Frank and the Hitler regime to create visuals. And it just shows the intensity. They were really excited to add these pinpoints of this bulletin board and create just a really cool visual of what happened, and it just put it in retrospect. They're able to add videos. They found a lot of nice YouTube videos that talk about Auschwitz and what happened. Um, and then they had this making a real connection, understanding the real aftermath. The video is pretty intense. I will show you a quick clip of it. Maybe not. Oh, there it is. Okay. So I'm just going to fast forward. So this was a British broadcast. Um, All right, so that just affected them wholly, and they were not able to understand before adding this video of the type of intensity and how devastating it was to the rest of the world, and how the world didn't really understand other than through those pictures. So actually having a live video helped put it in context. And then came our design for social action. So this was the biggest project. We're still actually working on it. I used Google Forms, where they were able to answer these questions, from connecting the Holocaust to the real world. So, who was Hitler and and what was his promise? What did Hitler do for the Germans to create followers of his regime politically? What steps would you have taken to create a compromise between the social and political hate between the Jews and Nazis? So this is where I start to get them to analyze and collaborate, as well as think on their own on how they are going to create the social action project. What ideas do you have for your community to ease the tensions between citizens? And then what digital technologies will you use to create your platform? So this one is starred, and this one, so that they know that that is a big requirement that will help them to understand what's going on and create that social action project. Okay, so at first what we did was we created a Twitter. I already had a Twitter for my teaching page. And so I showed them how to make a Twitter and how to just make a social action um, PDA, PSA. So they were able to use Google Plus, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and I didn't put a picture of Snapchat, but they really loved the Snapchat. It got a lot of my followers' interest, and it was really nice to see. And then finally, what I liked to use was Chicago Grassroots curriculum. So I did the PD program for my undergraduate, and Chicago Grassroots implemented their curriculum, and we had to create a social action project, which gave me the idea of having them do it. So there is a actual planning map that I have had my students use. Okay, so it is very intense, but it'll take 2 to 3 weeks to actually finish. So we're in week 2. We had spring break, so we had to take our time on this. Um, so as you can see, it just has them thinking of those essential questions, especially since we're an AVID school. We want them to get to thinking past just the surface level or that level 1 questioning. So yeah, it gives them all these different steps that they have to use. Of course, I come in and I help them out with it. The scope and sequence part we probably will not do, because that is a little more advanced, more so for high schoolers. And then another cool source is the Social Action book. It's an online book. They have the PDF for it now on the Kids Guide to Social Action. So I've given them snippets of it that I printed out, and they were able to choose what type of social action project that they would like to do. Although this seems like a short and small task, this was a very daunting task as far as allowing my students to think creatively on their own, as well as changing their thinking towards this is just a regular school project to this becoming a social action project and a call to action. So their final project is to create a community-based activity that will, such as creating a community garden, which a lot of them are agreeing upon, so that we can create and ease the tensions. So we can ease the tensions within the community, because we are a gym in the middle of a very rough neighborhood. So by creating this little action project, this will get the community to come together once more. Okay, so that is my project. It was very fun to make. And I can't wait to post the final results, if not before the end of this course, but I will still update you all on what happened.